Hello, everyone. Welcome, cats and kittens alike,
Hello,
to
everyone. Welcome,
episode
cats and kittens alike,
17
to everyone.
Con Job of Tavern Talk. I am Ben, also known as Meta Mongoose, over on the Crit Cats Discord, and with me, as always, is Sasha. We're going to be talking
Hello.
conventions this evening. I just got done working a convention, which is one of the reasons that we are so late putting out a Tavern Talk. October and most of September kind of got eaten up by con preparation. So,
Yeah, and for me, life just got in the way, so that was mostly what happened.
mhm. But yeah, no, your science fiction fantasy conventions, um, often gamer conventions as well. All of these conventions always tend to have a gaming area, if not the sole focus of the convention. So there's always some gaming to be had. There's also a lot of interesting other things we'll touch on, live shows, cosplay, D&D fashion in general, things you can maybe get at a convention. These are all fun things we're going to chat about. So, uh, Sasha, have you what conventions have you been to recently?
Recently, I was gonna say I've been to a handful of conventions. So, the most recent one I did was in, I want to say, was it 2022? I haven't gone into like, well, no, hang on. I did recently, last year. I don't remember the name of it, but it was a very small one. Because I was with a couple of friends and we went to a very small one, and it was in like a high school gymnasium. That's how small it
Okay,
was.
so
But I
like a
found some
starter
really
level
cool stuff.
convention.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. But I've been to massive ones. Like I've been to Anime Expo, which is the largest anime convention I think
Yes.
in the world. I've been to that.
No, maybe the one in Japan's pretty massive.
Yeah,
But
this
but
one
Anime
is.
Expo is
It might
probably
be
the
for the
biggest in the U.S.
in the U.S. Yeah,
Because I've been to ASEN, which is the biggest anime convention in the Midwest, and they had
yeah,
to
yeah.
carve that name out because they are not Anime Expo.
Yeah, I've been to Anime Expo, total blast. And then I went to Indiana Comic Con in 2022. That was the one I was talking about. That was one of my bigger ones that I went to. So yeah, there's a couple places. Even the older, when I lived in California, um, there's the city that I live in. There's a small little convention that started there too. But yeah, I've been to a whole different bunch of them. And that's the more recent one. I don't remember the name of it, but it was a very tiny one, but I did get some really cool finds there. So, yeah.
So of the ones that you've been to, do you ever make it into the gaming areas of those conventions?
Um, well, a lot of the ones that I had didn't, well, like the recent one, the smaller one, didn't have a
Right,
gaming
it'd
like
be very
area.
small, so
It was
probably.
very tiny. They had some guest stars or like guest panels, and that was really about it. Like signings and that stuff. That's really all they had. Indiana Comic Con probably had some, but I didn't really get the chance to because we only had so much time, and we were driving to Indianapolis from I was staying with my friend because we were all going as a group, and we all carpooled there, and it was like a 30-ish minute drive to get there. So
Okay.
it was kind of I don't think we did. I know that they were there and I wanted to, but it was like time. Like you have so much to do in so little time. It's like when I went to Vegas in August, we had so much we wanted to do, but we were only there for 4 days, and it's like trying to balance all the stuff you want to do, getting around the strip and getting around Las Vegas in general, trying to get everything you want done. It's not humanly possible unless you literally time yourself and stick to your time, which is very
Mhm.
difficult to do when you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah. No, some of the ones that I've been to, Archon is the one in the St. Louis area. That's the one that I was working this year, and their gaming area is decently sized. It is a pillar, one of the major pillars of the convention. So it has plenty of gaming tables, uh, little rooms set aside for role playing purposes, a lot of miniature gaming, stuff like that. Um, Basically, if you see a bunch of banquet tables all laid out in a room and a bunch of people sitting around them playing various games, you found the gaming area. Um, I have also done again the bigger ones like your C2E2s, your ASENs up in the Chicago area. I've made it out to Ohio for an anime convention that weirdly enough had a decent sized gaming area. Um, I was not expecting that, honestly. And then the one I found the smallest convention I've been to that had a like a little gaming room, which again surprised me because it was only like a 1 day convention, and I'm like, if you're coming to this convention, you're spending the whole day in the gaming room. Like, what are you doing? Like, but it was a steampunk convention. Uh, like I said, very small. Uh, like the Rose Society. It did not last very long. I think it lasted all of like 3 years before it kind of went defunct. But we had a really good time there. But they did have a gaming room in the hotel where you could sit down and like do some steampunk role playing or other like little steampunk miniatures games that were kind of fun if you wanted to burn a couple of hours.
Yeah. Yeah, or like if like yeah, like if you're waiting for like a guest panel or something like that, it gives you time to go there and have some fun and then go.
Hmm.
Because I've been to
Um,
plenty of panels.
yeah, I like it at the smaller conventions because it is easier to just get in a game, especially the like cozier, smaller to mid-size conventions. Sometimes even just have an open gaming room where you can do pickup games of they have like a board game wall, or you can just walk around and see if there's like pickup games of D&D or some other role-playing game you can get it on, and those are a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I bet. They usually sound like really fun. I know that there was a time where we did a couple of your pre-gen characters that we did as you were trying
Oh
to
yeah, I
make
was
sure that
testing out
it
the games for that. Yes, I have used the shop for as a test bed for little one-shot adventures that I run at conventions on just to make sure that I can do them in like the time allotted, and that I've balanced the encounters appropriately so that it's fun for the whole length of time as opposed
right,
to
right.
uh, not.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of those and those things are actually getting pretty popular now, especially with like a lot of like big name stars, big name people are kind of doing that and they're doing it like live so they have like an audience while they're doing those kind of like really quick one drop sessions.
Hmm. Because you have to fit those into effectively like a feature length panel or like a headliner presentation. Speaking of though, uh, the live play games, as you mentioned, those are becoming more and more a mainstay of the higher end conventions where they're pulling in now that we have larger live play groups, your critical
Yes.
roles, your penny arcade groups for like the C team, and the actual like normal penny arcade like live play groups for the pack shows, um, or oh shoot, what was the one with the Adventure Zone? Those people.
Yeah, yeah.
That was also a popular one. I don't know where it stands these days, but there's a lot of live play out there. People, voice actors, other industry luminaries, and or just their random friends or podcasters all get together, get a following online, and then you're doing a live show at a convention for like a couple thousand people.
Right.
I've never been to a live show, uh, D&D. I've seen them, because
Yeah.
I always watch the Penny Arcade ones from the PAX shows. Um, but have you've been to a live show or
No, I
not?
haven't been to an actual live show, but I've seen some of the live shows because some of those live shows even do like live and they broadcast it online so you can like
Hmm.
watch it while they're playing online. So, I haven't really been there physically, but it's probably a trip. It's probably something that's just really interesting. It's mostly because you're seeing these big name people and everyone's excited to like meet these people and then they get to see them sensually do what they do best like in action and it's great because I know that like Critical Role is one of the biggest ones that have really like made
Hmm.
that kind of like impact and really kind of paved the way for it to a degree. So, especially when it comes to the more modern age style stuff that's coming out. And it really kind of opened up doorways for a lot of people to make this kind of hobby to be more fun and entertaining and anyone can really kind of like be a part of it just because a lot of the stories and characters and stuff are just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I a lot of live play uh, ventures have have started. Not just like on the normal, like everyone got together and we realized, hey, we could stream our role playing games. Uh, like that helped get a lot more just out into the normal consciousness of society. But I really I really liked seeing the various pop up uh, like higher production uh, live plays. Um, there was one that was all puppets, like Muppet style D&D. Like there was a group that would do a D&D game, and then as they were describing things, they did it again later with puppets and filmed it. So
That
as they were
is
describing things,
fantastic.
the camera would just cut to the puppets doing it.
Yes. That's fantastic. I love it. I would do that. I would just do it like entirely as puppets and muppets and like you're just there on the table. No one can actually see really you. You're literally just a muppet playing D&D. And I
Right.
just think that would be a lot of fun. That
Um,
just sounds like a lot of fun and quirky things that you can do that you don't normally do with like your friends regularly. You do it more for the entertainment and fun of other people to see.
right. And again, along with this, the live plays are a good way for the fans, of course, to meet all of these, uh, you know, technically like industry stars at conventions because they're going to all be there for their game. You can kind of hang out with them, go to panels with them, chat with them.
Are either big name stars. A lot of them are huge voice actors
Yeah,
for anywhere between anime to like video games to books like audiobooks and stuff. Like a lot of them they're just really big names and there's some of them that you didn't even know did the parts that they did and then like you kind of like scroll through and you're like I didn't know they were this character or this character this I didn't even know. So it's
yeah.
it's
I
actually kind of interesting.
at Archon this year, our guest of honor was a voice actress for her. I found out a little later that she was our guest of honor, and then I went and started like looking on her IMDb page, and I'm like, oh my god, she's voice acted so many anime that I've watched, as like even some of the main characters of some of the ones I really liked. So I got to just meet her. She was just sitting at her table out, in the lobby. I got to chat with her for a while, and that was kind of fun.
Those are sometimes they're just it's also like they're like these people that are like really big stars and everything but then there's just so many of them that are just really down to earth and they just talk to you like a normal human being so it's always fun
Yeah.
especially when you can just chat with them.
Um, let's see. Were there ever any at the bigger conventions that you went to? Were there any gaming guests that were of note?
When I so I'm trying to think because Indiana Comic Con had really big name stars, but they weren't like the gaming kind. A lot of them, I didn't really have that many, I don't think, gaming wise. A lot of them were a lot of voice actors and just actors in general. And that they didn't have a whole lot of gaming for the ones I went to. Some of the other ones, there were some wrestling people too, but other than that, I they didn't really have them there, and I would love to meet more like that. And a lot of the ones, the bigger names, I think this last year, was it this year? It might have been. I know that Critical Role was at C2E2, and that's a really big one that I want to go
Mm-hmm.
to. That one of my friends goes to every year,
C2E2
and
is fun.
mhm.
The couple of times I've been, it has been a blast.
Yeah, and I would love to go there because it's not that far away. It'd be another one to go to that's really fun. But yeah, I know that some of those really appear, but if they do, it's kind of rare. And I think it has to be like the real big ones for them to really show, like San Diego Comic Con, Anime Expo,
Hmm.
C2E2. The really big Comic Cons are the ones that they tend to go to. They don't really go to the smaller ones. And
Um,
I've been to like a handful of smaller ones, but
yeah. So in the small to medium category, you'd be surprised who you could technically land, if you ask. Um, Archon has gotten, uh, I mean, as far as gaming stars go, we managed to get Doug Bear, the creative director for Magic the Gathering, one
that's
year,
pretty good.
and that was really cool because that was when I want to say we were headed back to Innistrad. I think that's when we got him. So he had or maybe it was the first trip to Innistrad. I think it was the first trip to Innistrad, and he had an entire like panel presentation about like all the creative director work that went into making a Magic set and getting art for it. And he had a whole bunch of unused art for Innistrad that he was showing off and be like,
That is
yeah,
really
we
cool,
commissioned this art for a card, but this card didn't actually happen, so we just have this art. Or like
right?
or when they put together like the basically the art bible for the set, and they're like, this is kind of all the concept art that we feed to all of our artists to let them know kind of what we want them to make.
Yeah.
And so he was just flipping through the concept art bible that normal people would never get to see.
That is actually really cool. I really enjoy that, and I'd love to meet people like that. I'd love to see that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. It's because it's really fun because I'd love that for like eventually being able to meet stuff like that for either like Pokemon TCG because I like Pokemon TCG or some of the other designers. Even just like seeing the art design is just really cool. Because that was
Hmm.
something that I used to play. I used to do with Magic was like my main focus was like, oh, I like that card. I like the art on it, and that's literally the only reason I like the card. Because my brother used to play it, and I grew up with my brother playing it. So
Yeah, I so another gaming one I would eventually like to get to Archon at some point. I doubt we would get too many of the Acquisitions Incorporated people from the Penny Arcade group because you know they have their own convention,
yeah,
they have their own stuff they go do. But I would love to get Chris Straub from that line
yeah,
because he has a very interesting art style that he does for just art, and then he also has just a really interesting way of like doing like a weird dark philosophy with his characters. Like he builds entire like he had one of his characters that he played basically built an entire uh, old one religion off of the back of just I'm playing a great a great old one packed warlock, but what does that mean?
mm-hmm,
So he basically made up his great old one and the entire world building that flowed from him for that was an integral part of like that entire like like streamed D&D game.
Yeah, that sounds like sounds like it'd be a fun one.
Like he built like an entire like runic language just for this monstrosity.
Like the Squigglies.
Kind of. So I'd like to get him at some point because I think it'd be fun to hear him talk about his process and stuff like that, and especially like
Yeah.
how he comes to character building or just world building in general. You know, just as a
Mhm.
player, not as like a DM or anything, but like how a player can help kind of build a world through just interesting backstory that they bring to the table.
Right.
But yeah. No, live shows are fun, and I really hope to get to a convention like a PAX where I can get in on one at some point.
Yeah. That sounds like it would be a fun one to do, especially when it comes to meeting stuff that's actually a part of the gaming related stuff because I a lot of the conventions I went to didn't really have that. But I have the other side of the conventions.
Yeah, yeah. Having to work a convention now, there's a lot less time to go do the things at the convention. I've noticed.
And I'm a person that is like all about going through the convention. I take my time looking for what I want to look for and literally just browse and spend hours and hours and hours browsing.
Um, while wandering around the convention, do you how much D&D cosplay do you come across?
Oh, there's so many and so many people put so much time and effort into cosplay and I love it. I love the ones that go from being like low effort to like very high quality effort and I love both of them because they're both charming in their own way. So, I've seen and a lot of them is like it depends on a lot of the times if it's like an anime convention, then a lot of people cosplay with like anime stuff. And then if it's more geared towards gaming with like D&D and D and stuff, then there's a lot more D&D-esque ones. And same thing with like Comic Cons, there's a lot more of the Marvel, DC superhero based kind of stuff. So there it's kind of like a then you get like a mixture because then there's like a lot of stuff that gets kind of combined together and it just depends on where you go. But I've seen quite a few handfuls of people who like some of them have even like cosplayed their own like original characters or like some have dressed up as their D&D characters and I think that's fantastic. And I know Renaissance fairs are not Comic Cons, but this just spews from it because my favorite costume idea that I've ever seen that I will probably do eventually is there were three people that dressed up as Star Trek characters and had the scanners and was walking around the Ren Fair. And I
They were
was like,
exploring a
they
low
were
tech planet.
exploring. And I was like, okay, okay, you got me there. I
So
like that.
I've run into a handful of like Doctor Who cosplayers who do the exact same thing
Yes,
at Ren
I've seen
fairs.
that too.
That's always fun to watch them kind of run around and have a good time.
Hmm
But I have
There's
noticed with the explosion of various popular live play games that cosplay kind of like has flown from that well. Like the picture I'm sharing here, these are girls doing the Adventure Zone.
yeah.
So, um, and I think again I'm not 100% on the Adventure Zone. That was not the
Yeah,
live play game that I watched a lot of, but I think that they are all doing the exact same character.
right. More than likely. I mean, that is also not also including I can't speak English today. That's not also including a lot of the people that have been like doing a lot of critical role characters
Hmm.
and a lot of oh, it's an offshoot of critical role. I can't remember It's one of the other groups, but they play their characters. That's not even including like the Baldur's Gate 3 like game group. A lot of the voice actors that played the
Hmm.
characters are also doing their own like live action game, and there are people that are playing those characters too. So it's interesting. There's also people just playing D&D races.
Hmm.
Like people are literally just they've dressed up as a goblin or they've dressed up as an orc or they just dress up as an elf
I've seen a lot
and
of
they do
tieflings. Tieflings are
uh-huh
very, very
right,
popular.
right, right. And I've seen that and I love it. I love that stuff. I think it's fantastic.
I love when I
So,
see a kenku wandering the halls, and I'm just like, oh, you
yes,
little bird person, you're amazing.
some of them are so detailed and
Hmm.
intricate. There had been one that I saw that they had a full like head covering and the mouth actually moved. And so like they had it where it's like a whole mask that fixtures to the bottom of their jaw. So
Yeah,
like whenever they talk, it opens and
moves. Yeah.
closes. And I'm like, that is so intricate. And some people make some of the craziest designs out of that. And I love that stuff. So I love seeing the little kenkus. I love seeing the goblins.
Hmm.
I've seen a lot of D&D-esque characters, but there's also people who are like there's some that have done like some of the Diablo franchise. They look like that because they're very
Yeah, very,
D&D-esque
very similar.
in design. Yeah. But it's actually really fun to see people dress up as those characters or just dress up as the race in general. Or they
Hmm.
go, I'm just a basic elf ranger, so I'm just an elf with like a quiver and like a bow or something.
I would at some point like to see some more Dragonborn wandering around a convention. I understand that
That would
that
be
kind of a
fun.
costume is probably a little hard to
It's
accomplish,
costly. Yeah.
uh, but I think I think that would be fun if I could get like a couple more lizardy folk. Maybe I'm just not going to the right conventions. I just maybe I just need
There
to
are
go to
some
like
big
a furry convention and find my scalies and be like, where are you guys? Like, show me your armor. Let's do this.
how do I do this?
Yeah.
There's actually really cool ways that I've seen people that they have their like they have like a mask or something like that, but then some people have actually made sleeves that have metal shells
Hmm.
on them that
I
are like sewn into them to look like scales,
There's
and they go all
a
the way down to like gloves that are claws. And I was like,
yes.
that's clever.
There's
And they
a
also shake.
there was a lady at the dealer room at Archon that was selling those. She had done the armor, the chainmail armor
Mm-hmm.
sleeve that goes from your fingertips all the way up to like maybe mid arm or shoulder,
Hmm.
and then she had attached the dragon scale
Yeah.
to all of it so that it was a, and then at the end she had these like big plastic claws, um, like big black talons at the end of each finger. And I'm like, those are cool. And she's like, yep, $180 worth of cool. And I was like, I do love those, but I need them to fit my
Yeah.
hand.
Right.
Because the ones she had were fitted for kids, so that one was not for me. But I got her card, so someday
Yeah.
I may send her like my hand measurements and get myself like a really
And get a
cool.
get a commission, yeah. I have seen a bunch of people who like usually if I either buy something from them or I'm around them, I usually get their card and try to remember. So if I ever decide to like order from them and be like, "Oh, cool, I want this. I'm gonna order from them."
But yeah, no. Speaking of actually things you find in dealer rooms, D&D fashion is becoming uh, much more popular. I have noticed, especially with the advent of D&D becoming just more popular in general. And when if you're pulling people into fantasy conventions, now's your chance to get your outfit for your D&D group. Even more so if you're trying to I I don't actually know what the state of what the state of LARPing is these days. Um,
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm pretty assuming it's probably still booming. Like
uh,
I'm still pretty sure it
it's
exists.
got to be booming somewhere. Uh, but like I remember when like LARPing was definitely a thing that I could go and do in like the 90s and early 2000s. And in the last 20 years, and especially even like post pandemic, I do not like know where one would even begin to
Yeah.
do that
And
these
that's
days.
right. And that's not even including like out of LARPing, there's kind of like this secondary branch that is the fighting where they
Yeah,
literally go into
the
full
SCA
armor.
groups, yeah, the
Yes. I know a couple friends that are in those groups and they train and they fight and it's very interesting to
well,
go through that kind of
there's
stuff.
a sword group here in town that I know gets together on like the weekends and practices in the park. Like they'll
Yeah.
all be like out in the park doing like all of their sword maneuvers like just by the lake or whatever. And I thought that was cool that was there's a group in town that does that because you got these guys with these big old broadswords just doing like
Yeah.
all their stances and
And they
maneuvers
use
together.
actual
Oh
weapons,
yeah,
but
it
when
was
they're
those were real metal.
this is all full on hand-to-hand combat and combat in general. So like they actually are physically fighting each other, but it's the it's more about like they're doing it because it is a part of like their hobby. So
Yeah,
they're not
they're
doing it to try to
yeah
actually hurt each other. It's
they're
just
not
they're
doing
fighting.
yoga. They're doing sword stances by the lake. Um,
Exactly.
but uh, but yeah, no, with the advent of cosplay being bigger, D&D becoming more readily available, I really do like that you can get a costume for your character very easily at a convention these days.
Mhm.
Like you can
You
go
can, yeah.
and find some, you can work your way through a dealer room and theoretically come out the other end looking like a proper D&D character.
Yep, or finding like the bits and pieces you need, depending on the vendor, depending on who's selling what, you can really have an entire outfit with accessories and everything in one exhibit hall. So,
Hmm.
like you really can. It is very possible now to just get fully decked out in whatever favorite D&D character you want to be. So, it's very interesting. And there's a lot of the stuff that is made, it's made with love and it's made with a lot of quality and it's made with a lot of talent that took a lot of time and energy and effort. A lot of them did. And then there's other ones that are the bigger named ones that can pump out, costumes like crazy. So they can pump out, pre-made stuff that isn't as good but still just as expensive.
Well, I guess it depends where you're getting it. You know, the, there's the Spirit of Halloween level outfits, which
Yep.
those exist. Uh, but even then, those are fine. You got to start somewhere, and you don't.
Mhm.
I wouldn't expect somebody who has this really cool idea for a dress up for their D&D character, and then they go talk to somebody at a convention because they see a really cool outfit, and then they're like, yeah, that'll be $400. um
Yeah, some of them
you
get
know
like
that
that too.
or because I've there's a coat that I want to get made for my steampunk outfit at some point, and I've priced it out. It's probably the coat's going to cost me like 600.
I know that feeling.
So that's
I know
so
that
that's on a
feeling.
list of will do eventually.
There is a coat that I really, really wanted to make and or at least have it be made, and it's going to cost a lot of money. So yeah, and it's a
Yeah, just
big like red particular styled coat that I would love to have, but good lord, is it going to be expensive. So,
yeah, pricing stuff at Ren fairs is also sometimes kind of a sticker shock if you don't know. Like, first off, a lot of that stuff's handmade. And when you're dealing with like leather armors or leather shoes and stuff like that, like these people are they're using real leather. It's not, like a cheap pleather that will fall apart in like a year or two. This is This is like actual leather that you
Yeah,
have
this
to.
is the genuine stuff, and that's why a lot of the times it gets pricey because it
Mhm.
also takes time to work on that stuff to make those things.
Like the armor I picked up a few years ago actually came with like care and feeding instructions.
Yeah,
They're,
that's like
they're like, if
it's
any
like
of this starts getting a little rough, I need you to put like a little bit of this oil here and just rub it
yeah,
in, just like a
it's
lotion
like
on the skin,
yeah.
cause it's skin. It's a
Yes,
cow
and
skin.
it's like the chain link armor that's in the shop that somebody had actually made that chain
Hmm.
link armor. So, which is also like just really really cool to know that like somebody took the time to make that, which I'm presuming would take a long time. And there's also
It
people who were
does.
going there are people who are going in like a cheaper route, and I guess you could say cheaper route. That doesn't mean it's not necessarily like a worse route, where I had seen somebody who made like a full scale armor and it was made from soda pop tabs
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are
and
really
they've chained
fun.
them together. I think that's
Hmm.
so freaking cool, and there's a lot of people that are very creative in how they acquire some of this stuff. So I think it's just really cool. And I also really like kind of like that little recycling bit where they're taking this stuff and they're making stuff out of it.
Yeah, I've been
So
stockpiling bottle caps for the last 3 or 4 years now, because at some point I'm gonna have to do like an armor base with those and maybe like some football pads and do like a post-apocalyptic armor, and
yeah,
that's gonna be a lot of bottle caps. So I've just
yeah, I
every chance
bet.
I get, I'm just like, you know what? We've had these. I'm just gonna put the bottle caps over here in this pile, and
Eventually I'll have enough to
when this
make what I
pile gets big
need.
enough, I'll sit down and finally make this outfit.
That sounds great. And especially if you get like different kinds of bottle caps, like you get
Hmm.
metal ones, plastic ones, different sized plastic ones.
Now, at the moment, I'm mostly just keeping like the metal ones, um, because I like the design of them when you turn them upside down, and they kind of like flare out with their shape, and I think gluing those down onto like some shoulder pads and then giving it like a good paint job would give it like the right texture that I'm aiming for.
Right. No, that's actually that's really, really fun. And that's what brings to a lot of people like when it comes to cosplaying, because some people you can just walk right in and buy a costume. There are other people that prepare. They prepare a cosplay and take it to that convention to wear for the day or whatever. I know because I've cosplayed before, so I've prepared costumes and prepared stuff and even have like kind of like emergency sewing kits and
Hmm.
some of that other stuff to help if I have any stitches or anything that needs to be fixed or redone while I'm throughout the day, because you wear those costumes for quite a long period of time.
Yeah.
So it kind of just depends, because some people do it because they're going in for the contest. Some people are doing it because it's just for fun. Some people are doing it because they're social media influencers and cosplaying is their social media influence and that's like their content. So it cosplay has really skyrocketed.
It has.
It used to be something that people are like we're judging you, and to now people are like that's really cool. So it's skyrocketed. And
It
actually
is.
it's skyrocketed since I want to say since like the early
Hmm.
2010s, I think is when it really boomed, because when I went to Anime Expo, there were cosplayers everywhere. I mean, everywhere. And I loved it. I loved seeing all the different costumes, the different designs, the different thoughts, and then even people, and it varied from people having costumes of characters that you would have to it's a very particular thing, a very particular character at a very particular episode at a very particular time, to one of the most known characters that would be everyone would know the character. So it's like it kind of like it's really nice. It's like playing Where's Waldo sometimes, because if you're in
You,
a
you
it's
could you
especially
could find Waldo.
when you're in a huge one. Like I mean thousands upon thousands of people, tens of thousands of people. I've been, that's what Anime Expo was. It was like tens of thousands of people. It was a lot of people in one area. And it's like, where's Waldo? Because some of those cosplay people you don't know until you're like right up to them. So it's really fun. And that's part of why I like wandering around because you get to see different costumes and there's a lot of them that are just they're all for it. They're like, "Yeah, sure, you want to take a picture? That's fine."
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do at large conventions is first find Waldo because someone invariably will be dressed as Waldo. Uh, but also, if I can somehow, and this has happened a couple of times, weirdly enough, if I can get Waldo and Carmen Sandiego in
San
the
Diego.
same picture,
I was just thinking
that's
that.
perfect. And I've managed to do that, I think, twice.
I think as a couple's costume, I would do Carmen
Hmm.
Sandiego and Waldo.
Yeah,
It'd be a fun
it's
one.
it's wonderful. I love when that happens. I love couples that are like, we're doing Carmen Sandiego and Waldo. I also love it when it just happens randomly, like there just happens to be a Carmen Sandiego and there just
There
happens
was
to be a Waldo.
Yeah, it's the same thing like in the Indiana Comic Con, there was a group of Spider-Men. Um, but they were all different versions of Spider-Man. I mean, we had ones with the old original costume. We had ones from the Tobey Maguire costumes. We had
Hmm.
some from the newer ones. We had a Deadpool Spider-Man. We had a French maid Spider-Man. Like we had like a whole bunch of them, and they all did the one of the memes of the Spider-Man pointing at the other
Yeah,
Spider-Man, and they all pointed at each other, and it was a very fantastic moment. And you have people like that whenever you go to conventions, especially with cosplaying. You have people that are like in a group. I dressed up as Sailor Jupiter and I found other Sailor Scouts around me. And one of my favorites was actually a guy dressed up as Sailor Jupiter, and it was really really fun. It was a total blast. They had their whole group was all the different Sailor Scouts, and I was the only one out of my group that was dressed up as anything. But it was a lot of fun, worth it.
no, that's one thing about cosplay. You can very easily find your people because you just find the other people dressed like you, and you're like,
Yeah.
hey.
Like, hey, you're my people. That was actually when I got to meet some really big stars. So, well, not really. I guess you could say really big stars, but like I met, in particular, I met the original voice actors for Sailor Moon and the original voice actors for Sailor Mars, and both were amazing people. And yeah, and I was Sailor Jupiter, and there was a lot of us that people that joined to like meet them were all dressed up as characters,
I did
and
I
she
did
just loved
have
all of it.
a fun encounter with Scott McNeil,
Hmm.
who did Gundam Wing was his breakout role at the time, um, and that was really cool.
That is awesome. I love that stuff. Yeah, and yeah, there's a lot I talk about conventions.
But
There's so many more stuff with it.
yeah, speaking of, one of the things you may, I assume, like to do more, the shopping portion of the conventions.
Yes, I do. I've
Um,
had to have friends drag me away from booths because I couldn't. I wanted to buy all of it.
where you can have your dice goblinry be at its peak,
That's
and
where they
or
had to drag me away.
yep, yep. So what is your convention purchasing in the gaming arena? Do you obviously dice, but do you seek out anything else while you're
I have
wandering the area?
I do actually. I really do kind of look at really, I tend to go for stuff that's very unique and it's very different, or stuff that I go, why didn't I think of that? And there's some of them that there was, I don't remember where it was at. This might have been Indiana Comic Con. The dice areas, obviously, they have to keep me away from it because I will be very much focused on all the dice and I'm like, I just want all of them. Can I just take all of the sets? I just
I
want
mean,
just open up my arms and just hug all the dice and then run away cackling. But that's stealing, so I technically can't do that. But
I was like, the
but
shop owner
that's
will
what I'm trained
gladly
what
sell
to do.
you all of the sets.
But there's also just like stuff that, yeah, stuff that's just really unique. Like you've got in that picture, I see some like D20 earrings. Um, that has become a huge fashion thing now of having like dice jewelry, dice
Hmm.
earrings. There's even like a, I don't remember the name of it, but it's like a big name fashion. And it's like there's glasses with the strings on it, but the strings have like a die beaded in the middle of it. And there's just a lot of that's kind of like coming into interesting fashion now.
Stealth
But
nerd
there's
fashion.
exactly. But there's also there's been like tools and stuff to use. I had found stuff that people did like hand carving dice towers. A lot of 3D printed dice tower stuff, but there's like
3D
the hand
printed is
carved.
becoming more and more
Yeah,
prevalent.
yeah, it is.
But I do like the hand carved like wood dice
Yes,
towers.
I've seen them.
Um,
They also engrave or they burn stuff. There's a lot of the now people are they know how to hand make paper. So they've made their own paper and they sew in and it's like a journal and it's like you can use that for your D&D character as like your wizard. You write all your spells in there and stuff like that. There's people that have like made scrolls and you can buy that stuff to either use as props or to use as like decoration design or it's actual use writing on it, but there's a lot of stuff that just kind of like will stick out to me like that. And yeah, they get pricey, but a lot of that stuff is handmade from local vendors or people who have traveled there. I've also seen a lot of crocheted stuff and knitted stuff. One of the people I went to with Indiana Comic Con, it was a wonderful woman who had D&D jewelry. She makes jewelry as a whole, and there was a whole 25th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons, and she had like a whole jewelry line that was fantastic. I mean, that stuff was really cool. And there was also a different person who she crocheted all of her stuff and they were like little animals. There was like a little Cthulhu and there's like a bunch of D&D monsters too. So like you can essentially it's a place to find trinkets and you just find all of these trinkets.
I forget.
And
Do you have you seen the knitted like mushroom hat that my wife has?
I don't think I've seen what she has, but I've seen that like whole
That
theme
style
in
of like
general.
witch hat that has
Yes.
like the mushrooms and stuff growing off of it, and
Yes.
it
I
is
see it's so
effectively a mushroom
cute.
cap
It's
underneath.
so cute.
So I ran
I've seen
across
it.
two more of them at Archon
Mhm.
this year. Two ladies were wearing them while they were walking around. I was like, "Hey, I know that hat. My wife has one of those."
Those are so cool. And I've seen people have also cosplayed as like a giant mushroom. So like they have a giant cap
Hmm.
and I've seen them like make that as a hat. And I was like, well, I know what else I need to do then. I need to do that too. There was
Now, one of
also
the
a giant
things
dandelion.
one of the things I definitely like about the dealer, one of the things I look for in a dealer room is one way or another. There's usually a section where you see a bunch of like milk crates and inside of them are just old D&D books. Mostly like things that, either someone had gotten in like an estate sale or they're just selling old used D&D books. But I like digging through those mostly not that I'm finding any books at this point I don't already own. But there are usually, if I'm lucky, like the soft cover adventure books, like the little like this little
Hmm.
soft cover magazine with like 10, 15, 20 pages or whatever
Right.
adventures that you can get, or the old dungeon magazines from like the old second edition era,
Yeah.
where all of those old adventures. I collect those. I'm an adventure hoarder. So every time I find a cache of new adventures that I don't already own, I usually walk away with a nice stack of them to come home and read.
I bet. I've seen a lot of that too. And there's also a lot of there's a lot of stuff that's been from older, either older games or like seeing some of the older dice sets I've seen people use or people have like saved and they've kind of like revitalized them a little bit. I've seen that too. I've also seen people who they make their own, like I do on occasion, make their own dice
Hmm.
and do that own stuff, and then they have their own stuff that they make and they sell. And there's some that make like very intricate and very detailed designs inside their dice, which takes a very long time and takes a lot of effort to do. But I've seen a lot of that too. So I've seen a whole bunch of stuff like that, and that's kind of where I go for it. And I love seeing all the different ideas and trinkets, and that's also not including the furniture that you can find because there's
Oh
places
yes,
like I want to say one of the big name brands is like Wormwood,
yes.
where they
Or
have the
Elderwood, Wormwood.
is
I
it
think Wormwood's
Elderwood?
right. I
Wormwood?
think
I
it's
think it's
Wormwood.
Wormwood because it's like the dragon worm, Wormwood. And because like you have tables that they open up, and you just have it where you can put a map down there in the middle, or it's like a gaming table in general, and it's very intricate. It's also very expensive, but it's very, very well done. And then that kind of stuff, or there's ones that are chairs that go with those kind of tables that have their own little drawer and have their own little stuff so you can put stuff in there. They have like a cup holder spot, and they're really cool. There's even ones that are, this furniture is, it's a D&D foldable table, and it's one that you can actually get like a, they have designs on the corners, but it also has it where it has a slot to put like folder for characters, like a
Oh yeah,
little
yeah.
extra slider that comes
Like little
out.
table storage that doesn't take
Yeah,
up space on the table proper.
yeah, on the table, yeah, and it comes out. There's an attachment that sits on it. It's like a cup holder that also has like a little dice tray, and there's stuff like that that is now really coming into the market, which I was trying to convince. I was trying to convince the shop where I was like, "Hey, look at these tables. They're not too expensive because the whole point of those ones is that they're supposed to be good tables for a cheaper price,
Hmm.
so that way people could buy them for their home if they wanted to." But also I was like, this would be a good idea to save room and time and maybe add a little more fire to
Yeah,
places.
little ambiance to the
Little
area.
spice. Needs a little more spice. But
Um,
yeah, it's like that kind of stuff. And I like seeing stuff where people are trying to find something that's um little more efficient, not really efficient, but like money saving for people who can't always afford like the very expensive three, four, five, $600 tables or whatever, that is just one table that's all completely customized. And those are beautiful tables, wonderful tables. Absolutely. If I had the bougie money, you better believe I'm gonna have the bougie furniture. Like I'm gonna do
yeah,
it.
no, I've definitely looked into those things whenever I, go down a brief rabbit hole of, it'd be really cool if I designed
Hmm.
my own fancy D&D room. And then I remember that my house can't actually support a fancy D&D
Right?
room at present, so I
The
will
dream is there.
right. One day, when I have a
There-
different house with a different set of rooms,
right?
one of them can
There's
100%
there's
be.
also there's like, when I think about it, there's also the decorations that people have made. I've seen the paper mache beholder head, the paper mache dragon heads, the paper mache um monsters, and I love that kind of stuff
Well,
too.
I couldn't take a picture of them because they were in the art show this year at Archon. But there was an artist there who was basically doing mounted monster heads. Um, your illithids, your dragons,
Yeah.
and but they were fancy. Like they
Hmm.
were, you are paying maybe $600-700 to take this away, and they sold every one of them. Uh, but it was really cool looking at them.
I bet I've seen some of those things before. So yeah, it's a future of a gaming room. Have those mounted up on the wall would be
Yeah.
fantastic. But yeah, there's that, but there's that furniture and stuff, and there's also been some of the other trinkets have been people have made wizard um their little mathematical style spell counters.
Oh yes.
hmm And they've made them, and they're all wooden, spindled, painted. There's some that are even ones that have countdown like health clickers
Hmm.
and spell clickers, and it's like a whole character sheet that's all made out of wood, and you have a little tracker, and like you just move it and it tracks down the numbers. And I thought those were really fun, and it's just replaces part of your character sheet, so you're not writing all over your character sheet.
Hmm.
Which I mean I do anyways, because it's still nice just to be able to have like that physical stuff to know that a character's been loved and played
One of the
or
things
hated
that
depending on your character.
uh, one of the things that I have seen now, we definitely have a group that does it at Archon, and I assume at other larger conventions they have similar. Because of the fact that 3D printing is much more prolific, and because of the fact that people can cosplay as their D&D characters, uh, the giant like full body scanners where you can scan and make your own D&D miniature of yourself as your character. Um, there's a group that does that at our convention, that they come in and they set up the whole thing. You can stand on it. They'll run the laser around, whatever, scan you in, and then give you your own STL file of yourself dressed up as your
That is
character or something.
fantastic. That is really cool. I like that. I like
That's
that one a
a
lot.
that's a fun new thing that
hmm
I don't think I've checked to see how much they charge for the effort, but like I said, you get an STL of yourself. I know one of my friends did that one year. He dressed up as a wizard, and he was like, "I get to be me as a wizard." And so he has like a little 3D printed
That's
copy of
that's
himself
amazing.
dressed up as a wizard.
I love that. That's fantastic.
So a thing you can do
Mm,
if you're into miniatures for your D&D hobby, and you're
yeah.
into your D&D cosplays, and you gather yourself up a cosplay, you can get yourself turned into a
Mm.
miniature, and then
I even have a 3D printed dice tree. So
oh,
like you
okay.
actually put the dice inside of
Oh,
the
that's
tree.
neat.
Yeah, so like I'll put one right here, and it just kind of like sits in it. It's actually really cool. And I use that for some of my whenever I finish like dice or whatever, and I present it on like my own little website. I put that on the tree because I figured it's a great way to kind of show it off because it's fun. And yeah, I think it's really cool because there's a lot of that coming out, and there's like they're like tankards where you like put your drink in it, but it's got a dice tower on it, so like you can have your drink there and you can roll your die down it.
Hmm.
And there's ones that are just massive 3D printed dice towers. There are some very huge ones. One of my favorites was a big dragon skull that it shoots like through the top of the head or top of the skull, and it
Hmm.
comes down and it goes into the bottom of the jaw and it rolls out. It's really cool. Some of this stuff is really cool.
Yeah, the advent of 3D printing has definitely allowed for some more interesting peripherals at the gaming table for
hmm
sure.
Yeah, and for the gaming table, it's brought in a lot of not even just like D&D in general, but games like Warhammer and the other miniature style games really having that 3D printed aspect. People are making their own custom designs and printing them and then painting them and doing all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
don't
uh it's a
have.
lot more it's a lot more intricate now than it used to be, and it's a lot more accessible than it used to
Here, let
be.
me let me see if I have one of the 3D printed. Yeah. So I'd gotten a 3D printed like structure for my BattleTech
Yeah,
game, and then I painted it up.
that is really cool.
But yeah, it's just it was basically this one was a free download, but you can get
Mhm.
like fancy paid ones. that are even
Yeah.
cooler. I got my hands recently on a set that is like canyon walls for like a like a box canyon or Badlands looking area, and then someone has carved lion heads out of like the tops of the cliffs. So it's almost like someone's Mount Rushmoreing lions into the
That's
cliff,
really
and so
cool.
so you have them in various states of being carved. So it's like one's like just the head, one's like the head, but like part of the body moving along like the ridge line.
Yeah.
One of them's like where the body's like partially carved out,
Mhm.
and once I get those painted, I think I'm gonna do a fun adventure or something where like the party has to go, I don't know, save some lions or some crag cats or something.
Something like that.
Go meet like a crag cat shaman or but
But
no,
still,
3D
yeah.
printing fun, especially now. And again, you can get a lot of 3D printed stuff at conventions. It is becoming
It
more and
is.
more prevalent. Um, the only The only part that I personally lament is now that I have access to 3D printing uh, and know how much it costs to actually print something, it breaks my heart when I do see like 3D printed stuff for like $30 or whatever.
Right.
Um, because I'm like, oh man, someone would really like that for their D&D table, but
Mhm.
that's a pretty big margin you've put on that.
Right, right. And I know because they probably put in however many hours it takes to print it is probably what they put
Right,
into it, why it costs higher and they charge a certain higher
right.
dollar amount per hour. So, I think I've noticed that. Actually, when I've made dice, I've actually, I make my profit margin pretty low. Like, I still make profit, but
Hmm.
it's not like I'm making like a 50% increase. It's more around the lines of like a maybe 4%, if much lower, like anywhere between like 1 to like 2.5 sometimes. But I know that like other places they have to charge so much because they go through another company and that other company eats out some of that
Hmm.
money, so then they have to charge higher to make up the difference. So,
Yeah, there was a guy at Archon this year that I picked some stuff up from. He did it the right way. He bought effectively a license, like a merchandise license or something, to sell the 3D prints that he had gotten online. He had, from the original sculptor, and I'm guessing there's some kind of like licensing fee that he has to pay. That probably isn't a small number. uh,
mhm.
but even then, like his stuff was reasonable. Like each individual mech that I bought was maybe like $7 or less, which is kind of on par with what I would expect.
Right, right. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot to buy. Oh, and yeah, there's also a lot of artwork there in general
Hmm.
to buy. It just depends on where you go and who's
Yeah. If you
there.
wanna
You'll
if you wanna
find
fancy up your D&D
everything.
game room, go to your local convention. Go to the art show at that convention. I
Yeah,
mean, you can
you'll
run down like their
find.
artist alley or whatever, and get either people who do custom commissions along the line there, or just stuff they've already drawn. But if you wander into your local convention's art show, you will see some really cool stuff,
Mhm.
and some of it reasonably priced.
Yeah, you will. That is true.
Some of
That's
it
why there's some
criminally
of it.
underpriced. I will
Yes.
tell you, as someone who
I
has set up and torn down the art show over at Archon. I I've seen many pieces of art there where I was like, this is crazy. This should not be going for like 5, 10, $15 as like an opening bid. Like this stuff should start at 50 and go up from there.
right. Yeah, some of that stuff is. That's like because there's also artists that do commissions where They have so many commissions that they'll do in a day because they can make a lot of money from commissions. And I had one that I did, which was at Anime Expo, and it's a very wonderful commission, but I paid $10 for it, and that thing was worth way more than $10. He put so much effort into it, and I still have it, and it's a pencil sketch. Still have it. Beautiful sketch, beautiful drawing. He put so much effort into it. And he added extra details that he didn't even need to add. And I was like, this is amazing. And it was my last $10 that I had. Because I told him, I was like, is this the last $10 I had? And he said that he was working in it on that Saturday and it was that last day. So on Sunday, he had stayed up all night drawing that and then brought it to me, and I asked for a hug because I was like ready to cry because I was like, this was so good. And I was
Mhm.
like, this should have been more than $10. And I was like, if I had like an extra 20, I was like, I would have given it to him. But it was such a wonderful drawing that like I said, I still have to this day, which is
Um,
Fizz from League of Legends and Squirtle ready to
mhm,
like battle each other.
mhm.
It's wonderful,
Speaking of
wonderful drawing.
running into artists at conventions and you're commissioning art from them that could lead to some interesting places. There is an artist who hangs out at Archon who does uh, who does work for a gaming company, um, and some of the art that is commissioned from him sometimes makes its way into official books, as long as it doesn't break canon or anything in the adventure or in the game. So if you happen to know an artist and they happen to do art for a gaming company, as one of their more primary jobs, and you commission them to be like, hey, I do like an adventure group of me and my friends, then the next time that the company's like, hey, we need a spot of like 3 or 4 adventurers doing an adventure for like a half page art in like the next adventure book we're putting out, sometimes those artists just are like, hey, I've already drawn this and submit it. uh,
That's
and
actually clever.
and
Very
you
smart.
and you can accidentally find out that you are now canon in a published adventure or D&D or sci-fi or whatever property, because
Right.
you commissioned them to do this art. They have it in their backlog, and as long as it doesn't like break the rules that the company's looking for, that's kind of fair game. And then you can be part of the game's history from that point forward.
That's fantastic. And it's also nice to know where like you have that interesting character and that someone just goes, I want to play that character.
Right. So yeah, you can be the adventuring group in the splash art page on the cover of the D&D monster manual someday, or you can be the mech warrior pilot, in the third page of like the technical readout, or you can be uh and and you'd be like, hey, that's my character, and you're like, yeah, that's a fun way to sneakily get yourself into canon. Just throwing that out there for everyone. If you go to conventions where artists go, and you find the ones that work with other gaming companies, and you
That are
commission
like
them to
official
do
ones.
your
Yeah.
art, you
That is
you are
fantastic.
weirdly now in the running potentially to end up in a book someday.
That is fantastic.
It's a
I really I like
sneaky
that.
way to get into to gaming canon.
You absolutely could too.
Um, we're thinking about it. One of my groups, we've we're trying to figure out how much it would take to commission like a Band of Brothers style like group photo uh, art from this guy, and have it just be sitting in his his uh, his pile for the next time that the company calls him up and goes, hey, we need like a cool like group art
We need a group of people.
picture,
But like, what a coincidence! I have one of those already.
right? But yeah, definitely patronize or not patronize. Be patrons of. Yeah, patronize your artist. No,
Yeah, judge them. Be
be
critical of their art. Please don't do
be
that.
yeah, don't do that. But be patrons of the arts. And maybe something cool happen someday. And if not, at least you got some cool art.
Pretty much.
Always worth it.
Usually, a lot of the artists, if you really like their work, you like their art style, you like what they do, yeah, go for it. It's a lot of fun, and 9 times out of 10, you are not going to regret it because that art is fantastic. So there's a lot of wonderful artists out there.
And many of them all gathered at conventions. So
Pretty much.
definitely take the time to go and be social, have fun, be cool. Like don't be weird about it with
Don't be weird
cosplayers and
about
artists and other stuff.
Don't be weird about it.
There are
It's
signs.
true though.
Trust me. Sometimes at
It's
conventions there are
true.
signs that just say "Don't be
It's
weird
true.
about it."
Don't be weird about like literally don't be weird about this.
Everyone's
We
there
don't
to
want you
have
to be weird.
fun. Everyone's there to have a good time. Everyone's there to show off, be cool. You can make a lot of cool friendships that you would not have expected otherwise
Yeah, that's true.
at conventions.
That is something I have run into where I've just ran into other people and they're just really just nice, genuine people. So you'll probably run into a lot of people like that
I
that are
there
just
are
really
weirdly
good.
enough a lot of people that I only know by face because I only ever see them once a year. And it's not that I've interacted with them as much, but like we pass each other in the hall at least once a year for like the last 20 years. And I'm like, I know that guy. Or she's cool. I've seen her in like 15 different costumes over the years. But if you were like,
That'd
what's
be
her name?
great.
I'm like, I don't know. I every now and again I stop, get her picture, talk about like some cool costume she's making, and then I don't see her for like another 12 months.
And that's just great because that's probably how they are on the other side, where they're like, "Hey, I know you," and they're just like, "Hey, I know you," and you just like pass by each other.
Yep.
See you next year. Yep, see you next year.
But sometimes if you strike up a really cool conversation and you meet your people again, you dressed up as in the Sailor Moon outfit, the Sailor Jupiter, right?
Yeah,
And
with Sailor
you found the other Sailor Moon cosplayers, and you could have had a great conversation with them. Maybe
Mhm.
acquired like an email or a contact, and
Yeah, yeah. I actually, when I met the original voice actress for Sailor Moon, so like the original 90s voice
hmm
actress, um, she was wonderful. And when I was in my full Sailor Jupiter outfit, she asked if she could take a picture of me. Because what she did was she sent that picture to the original Sailor Jupiter voice actor, who usually goes to that convention every year. She just couldn't make it that year. And so she's like, I'm going to send it to her. And she's like, oh my God, you have the green boots and everything. She's like, oh, this is wonderful. I love this. And I was very shell shocked when it was like, can I take a picture of you? And I was like, hold on a minute. I thought this was the other way around.
yeah.
Wait a
Oh
minute.
no, no,
And she did.
you will learn that sometimes the talent is also a fan.
Yes, and it was wonderful. She loved it. She's like, I can't wait to show her. Can't wait to show her. I'm so excited. And yeah, so I was hoping to be able to go there again because she said that she goes there all the time. And so I was like, man, if I get to go there again and see her again, that would be great. And then I'd be like, hey, did she like my costume? After, 2 years, like, oh, hey, you remember me, after you see thousands of faces a day. But that's beside the point. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to do that stuff, and it really gets you kind of interacted. And there's some of them that you can really extend your networking capabilities and really kind of put yourself out there if you go to conventions, and just collaborate and talk to a lot of different people. Like I conventions can be super scary because if there's a crap ton of people, it's kind of hard to start somewhere. But it really can be a good chance for like networking.
Yeah. And that's another cool thing about conventions is not only can you arguably network in industry, uh, but you can all like some of the people who hang out at conventions, especially when it comes to like costume design, they recognize other costume designers who do good work. And I have uh, been to conventions where I have seen cosplayers or other, specialized costuming going on, uh, and the industry judges are like, oh, like we know how much work went into this, and you might get a card, or you might get a number to talk to somebody within the industry, and that could land you a job someday.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
um,
I thought about that too, which is why I thought
same
about it
same thing with
earlier.
the gaming side.
Mm-hmm.
Wizards of the Coast has gaming representatives at conventions sometimes. uh, Other CGL, the Catalyst Game Labs, the people who do BattleTech, have people out at conventions. Other gaming companies definitely have representatives out and about. And if you are known as that guy who does the really cool D&D games all the time, or like that that lady who did a really cool miniatures game table like all weekend long, or one of these, you might get noticed. And that's a way to get break into, or if you design your own game and bring it to a convention. What game rooms are really really good about getting to play test your games.
Mm-hmm.
Game rooms at conventions are definitely a way. I've done a few board game showcases with the designers. In fact, one of the games that I played was still in the process of being made while we were testing it out. It was kind of
Oh,
like
that's
in
cool.
beta, and it was a game effectively about like space poaching. You went around to various planets and collected like space alien animals for like rich collectors off world. And while we were while we were playing, they hadn't named all of the monsters yet, and they didn't have like all of the monster designs yet. The artist was sitting there at the table while we were playing, like sketching out alien designs for some of the monsters that would eventually be cards for us to play with.
Yeah.
And so while we were sitting there, just chatting, we were talking about like weird animal combinations that would make uh, for fun designs, and one or two of the ones we came up with made it into the game because while we
Oh,
were
that's
talking
really
about them, the
cool.
artist was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds cool. I'll just start drawing that right now."
I'll just start drawing it right now. Then it
So
gets
like,
implemented. And then
so
you're
like we
like,
were
yeah,
like one of the ones we were talking about was like a spider monkey, but its arms and legs were tentacles.
huh.
Like its arms, legs, and tail were like octopus tentacles.
Oh my God, that's
And he was like, "Oh
horrifying.
man, that sounds great." And he just started like sketching away, and he's like, "Yep,
Oh
it
my
looks like this
God,
now." And
that
so
is
that card is in the
interesting.
game now. And every time we ended up buying that game, so every time I
Hmm.
see it, I'm like, I made that card.
You're like, that was my idea.
Right, that's mine. I did that.
Those are some of the fun things that you actually get to do. And it's actually really, I know that with some of the gaming rooms, they have ones that are like pre-planned events and then like ones that are just free, just
Hmm.
open up to, and like you just have a set schedule, like you have like a set time. I think there have been
There
some like
are.
that before.
I've seen some like we have to sign up for in advance. Larger conventions, it's a lot harder
Hmm.
for the sign up in advance ones because those tend to be like online signups, and those fill up like way before the convention even
Hmm.
even starts. But the free game rooms always fun. There's usually events you can sign up for, day of as well. Um, and again, the a lot of it gives you an opportunity to go out there and you can either test out your own game or bring a character, D&D character with you or some other gaming character with you and
Mhm.
find a table that's playing that game and give it a run. I've had a really good luck and a lot of fun doing those. I've
Yeah,
I've definitely spent some years camped out in a gaming room and basically spent upwards of like 20 hours over the weekend
right.
like just there. But yeah, no. Any other interesting convention tidbits before we start to wrap us up?
Not exactly. I mean, there's so much there. There's a lot, and there's just a lot of stuff to really admire. I think we've gone through a majority of it, besides it being in a different city that causes you to be able to travel a little bit and see a place you haven't really been to. But other than that, no, that's kind of the whole experience of a convention. And you just get to really see things that you like. You get to be around people that like the same things that you like, and you get to be around a lot of different things. And it really honestly lets you try new things and experiment with stuff and really kind of get to do different things that you don't normally get to do.
Yeah. Um, like I said, I've been going to conventions since God, I was 10. So for the last 30 years ish, I've been hitting up conventions yearly, uh, both locally and abroad. I've not left the country yet, um, but but I think I've made it to several different states, uh, just to see. And there's a few larger conventions I are still kind of on my bucket list that I haven't
Mhm.
had a chance to hit yet. But even now that I'm working uh, a couple of them, uh, there it's there's always something fun going on. There's always a lot of opportunities to make new friends, and there's always a lot of exciting, just things to see at a gaming convention or a science fiction fantasy
That's
convention.
true.
Definitely. I mean, you can lose yourself in a game room at a convention for the entire time that convention is running, without issue, if that's what calls to you. But you could
Mhm.
very easily also just sample the whole convention. Don't limit yourself to just like one pillar of a convention space.
Yes.
Get out, see all the costumes, go to a couple of panels, meet some industry
Yeah.
folk.
Go to even panels that you've never heard of them before. Like
Hmm.
go to them because they provide different perspectives and experiences. Go to stuff you really wouldn't go to. There was stuff that I looked at and I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I really want to." And then I went and I did it and I really enjoyed it. So, go it's really gives you like a taste and of like different things and different experiences. So I know that there was some of the other stuff too that really lets you kind of do it, but there's also like so much to do. So, kind of really pick stuff you really want to pick and then kind of as you're going around then decide what other stuff you want to do in between when you're waiting for other things to happen because a lot of the bigger conventions have they have a very structured time set of when stuff happens and what stuff happens at what times. So
Hmm.
they like have it, especially if it's one that's like Friday, Saturday, Sundays, like 3 day ones. There's 2 day ones and there's 3 day ones, and the 3 day ones have been really structured. And this happens Friday, this happens Saturday, this happens Sunday, and here's all your time scheduling for all your panels, your guest meets, and all that stuff. So yeah, and then there's also the in-betweens, and one of the ones for sure is always the exhibit hall. I always say that go there because a lot of the times you don't know what you're going to find there, and there's so it's like it's just walking into a treasure trove of different things, and that includes also there are ones where there are booths where there are actors there selling stuff or just being there and just chilling in a booth there. That's how I met most of the Power Rangers that
Yeah.
I've ran into. We when we went to Indiana Comic Con, the reason why my friends wanted to go is because there were a lot of Power Ranger actors there. So I met like a handful of actors.
Hmm.
And yeah, so and they were just sitting there. They were just in a booth and got to talk to them, said hi, and they were just
Um,
really just chill people. So
no, a few years back, it was definitely pre-pandemic time, but a few years back, Archon got George Takai to show up,
wow.
and
That
he
is
was he
awesome.
was a blast.
I bet.
He was very friendly. Spent a lot of time just chatting in the hallways and stuff while he was going around.
Oh yeah, I bet. Oh,
So you can find some very interesting people at even you don't even have to go to the big conventions like your medium to small local
yeah.
conventions.
The Indiana
Uh,
Comic Con was a smaller one compared to the bigger ones I've been to. It's a smaller one, which is
mhm.
totally fine. I'm happy with that. I'm fine with that. I like the little conventions because they're smaller, means there's less people.
and
Because
even
Anime Expo was a lot of people.
and even when I say small, I mean even like effectively like a micro convention at your local university or
Mm-hmm.
college. Um, my my wife is working on some like small book based conventions on that level,
Mm-hmm.
and they have pulled some really fun authors. Uh,
I bet.
in just the university or college pays to get them there, and they're there for a day or a weekend or whatever, and then they go home. But
Mm-hmm.
you've got them locally. You can get your books signed. You can get if they're cool like fantasy authors. They can sometimes do talks. Definitely go to those because if you want to develop, especially on the I always like things that develop people on the DM side of the table because again, there's not enough of us on that side of the table, so more people is better in my opinion in that regard. So the more you experience, the more you listen to how other people do, especially like fantasy novelists, how they do world building
Mm-hmm.
or how they do story pacing.
Yeah.
Um, just go listen to those things at a convention, and it'll give you some ideas of how to better run your D&D games.
It does, yeah. It would be fun too. It's also fun to ask people when you have especially voice actors in panels and you have them answer in the character insert favorite character answer that way is a lot of fun. That's the same thing
Hmm.
with like, the authors and stuff and asking about world building and lore and probably just how they came up with the things that they came up with. So, like that would
Hmm.
be a lot of fun and yeah, meeting an
I'll,
author
I'll
would
tell you
also
what
be
one of their
great.
answers traditionally is: go learn other things. Go watch other shows, go read other books, go see other sites, because the more things
Mhm.
you see, the more things you know, the more things you can draw on to put together a character or a world or a story or an adventure.
Right. There was when a wonderful joke that we had was there was a voice panel. There was a few voice actors. One of them was Jim Cummings, who was the voice of Pooh Bear and Darkwing Duck and a lot. He has a
Hmm.
lot of voices, mind you. But anyways, it's like he was in a panel, a group of people, and one of our one of the people had asked like what got you and either into voice acting or I want to get into voice acting. How do I do it? And they were just like, don't. Like one of their answers, like, don't do it. But because it really depends because sometimes you get a really big break and then
Right.
other times you're hoping your phone will ring. So like,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
but like
it's a
they
very feast or famine line of work.
but yeah, that's what they were talking about. But there's stuff like that that you can do, and you can ask, and you can really have some good advice from people, like whether it's an author for that, or it's an artist, or it's a actor, or it's a big name creator or something along those lines. So yeah, it's a lot of, it can be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I have noticed that like voice acting advice always at this point begins to boil down to build your own following.
Yep, pretty much.
Be seen, and that will get you in the door better than like
Yeah.
there isn't really a good like path of like I'm out of high school, I want to do voice acting now, I'm going to go to voice acting school
Hmm.
and take up a trade in the voice acting. It's like it doesn't it doesn't really work that way anymore.
No, not really. No, it doesn't really work like that.
In order to be seen, you have to actually like grow a following to be seen. So,
Hmm.
but but yeah, no, I again definitely go to conventions, see people, meet industry and insiders, get get their knowledge, get their signatures, make friends, make other friends outside of industry. Uh, Definitely have some fun. That's what
Yes.
conventions are for.
Yes, that is true.
But yeah, other than that, without anything else, I think we'll start to wrap us up. So, again, thanks for hanging out with us this evening here on Tavern Talk. If you're watching this later on YouTube, cool. We do this generally the third Tuesday of every month, except for those brief times where we get really busy and don't, and or sometimes take the winter months off because the holidays get really out of hand. So we probably have maybe another one ish in us this year. We'll
Maybe
see. We'll see how November goes.
we'll see.
Um,
Yeah, because I've got stuff for Thanksgiving, and I know that'll be really close.
yeah,
So,
the holidays get, but we do have some other stuff on the horizon. I hope
hmm,
to have a one shot winter adventure
yeah,
planned for at this point. I think early December. So keep an eye out here on the Crickets channel for that. Otherwise, if you happen to like what we do and would like to see us do more of it in cooler and more exciting ways, the easiest way to do that would just be to follow us and like us, or if you have a spare sub to send in our direction, we have a button you can press that will do that for you, both on the YouTubes and or here on Twitch. If you have a Twitch Prime subscription, good news. You have a free sub that you can throw out. Amazon doesn't need your money, and we could use it. It's free. I don't know. But other than that, thanks for hanging out with us this evening, and we'll catch you all later. Bye.